What's up guys, it's me, your boy SteveRandom here, and in today's video I'm doing the top 5 best cheap fall fragrances. Now this was requested by a viewer of mine, and he said, why don't you do the top 5 best cheap fragrances for the fall. I made a quick list, but I have to say that these are not the most cheap fragrances, like not under like 40 bucks. Most of them are like, you know, the highest I think I go is about $60, so I could say these are below $65, and I think that's pretty cheap. The thing is, I don't have many cheap fall fragrances, but I have one or two that are pretty cheap in this list, but they're overall, the average is about $50 in this list. So let's get into it. My number 5 is a quick and really easy to wear during the fall fragrance. This one is Bottled Intense Eau de Parfum Concentration. This thing smells like apple mixed with cinnamon, and it really becomes overall like a cinnamon apple pie. You know, it's really a very nice smelling fragrance that you could wear anytime during the fall and even the winter. This thing smells really overall, it makes a statement and it makes you feel like a boss, and that's what I feel like when I wear this. Just makes me feel like a boss, and I truly enjoy this one. It's a very nice fragrance, but it's not as competitive as these other 4 on my list. Overall longevity on this is very good. I would say about 8 to 10 hours. Compared to the Eau de Toilette concentration, I would say this is a definitely one that you want to pick up, because you don't want to pick up the Eau de Toilette concentration. That thing does not last. Definitely if you're picking up Bottled Intense, I would try to pick up the EDP concentration or the Eau de Parfum concentration instead of the Eau de Toilette concentration. You definitely get a difference of longevity. It's Bottled Intense Eau de Parfum concentration at my number 5. My number 4 is Men Prive. Now you know Men Prive has had a reformulation, and if you compare it to the 2015, you know, original formulation, you would be like, wow, this thing lost a lot of longevity. And luckily, my brother used to own the 2015 formulation, but then he finished the bottle and he got rid of it, so I don't have that bottle to compare, or like, the bottle looks the same, it's just the fragrance is different. But Men Prive, this thing smells very nice, and recently as I've been using it more, I could really get that whiskey note. It's whiskey, leather, it smells very nice, and it smells kind of like a leather jacket, but not the same leather as like an ombre leather or an Tuscan leather. This one's a more boozy leather, and it's a very nice and really youthful fragrance. I would say this one's a great fragrance to wear to like match with your leather jacket kind of thing, or if you look like a real like badass, you can wear this fragrance. I think that's a great option for this fragrance. This does give me a little bit of similarity to Chanel Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme. I know that's gonna be like, what? But to me, in the dry down, they smell a little bit similar. That's just my opinion. This one overall longevity is about 6-7 hours, maybe if I'm lucky. So it's about 5 hours, I would say, on average, which is pretty decent. I mean, sometimes I would have to overspray this one, but it's okay. Men Prive at my number 4 spot. By the way, so far, Bottled Intense Eau de Parfum concentration, I think you can find for about $55. And Men Prive you can find for about $50. So they're relatively cheap, but I don't have many cheap fragrances under like $30 for the fall. But here we have Dolce & Gabbana The One Eau de Parfum at my number 3 spot. Dolce & Gabbana The One Eau de Parfum is pretty much one of the easiest, the most relaxing tobacco scents I have. It's very smooth and very easy to wear. Amber tobacco, pretty much like a sweet tobacco, and it's very just smooth, and I keep repeating the same word, but it's very smooth, and then the amber makes it very, like, you know, sweet and smooth and just kind of undercover, if you know what I mean, you know, under the covers. Dolce & Gabbana The One does last on for a pretty good amount of time, but I realized that it doesn't last on like extremely heavy. For me, it lasts on about 7 to 8 hours, so it's pretty good. Dolce & Gabbana The One Eau de Parfum at my number 3 spot. Now here's a really big cheapie. At my number 2 spot, here's Mont Blanc Individuel. For a 75 ml, you can find it for about $25, give or take. It's a great fragrance. It smells a little bit similar to, or more than a little bit, It smells quite similar to Original Santal from Creed, even though they have different notes. If you look at the notes on Individual, it has some pretty like banger notes, but you can't smell anything that's really different. To me, I smell clean fragrance with a little bit of raspberry, and I don't smell, you know, there's some musk in here, there's some pineapple, there's some weird and crazy mixed together notes, but I can't smell any of them. I would say this one's a great one for the fall because it does have a little bit of a different and unique kind of vibe compared to the other fragrances that people are going to use during the fall. Mont Blanc Individual overall lasts on me for about 5 hours, so it's not that good of a performance. But for 25 bucks, you can't go wrong. If you overspray this one, you know, who cares? This one, you can overspray, and if people compliment you, you're going to be grateful because it's a cheapie. If people dislike it, you're going to be like, okay, I spent $25 on this, you know. That's Mont Blanc Individual at my number 2 spot. My number 1 spot is a pretty cheap fragrance. I would say you can probably find it for $60. So, I mean, I guess that's not very cheap if you're looking for cheap fragrances, but I think it's worth it for what it is. This one is Polo Red Intense. Polo Red Intense is definitely my number 1, you know, below $100 fragrance to own for the fall. This one's definitely one of my favorites for the fall, but if I was going for more expensive fragrance, other fragrances beat it. Polo Red Intense, great coffee mixed with a cranberry, you know, dark kind of vibe, but not like dark oud kind of vibe, but like a dark scent. I just like the way it smells. It has its refreshing part, but it also has that coffee and that kind of like little bit on the darker side kind of vibe. That's Polo Red Intense. This one lasts on me for about 8 hours, give or take. Sometimes I can overspray this one and get away with it, and I can get more compliments that way. This is Polo Red Intense at my number 1 spot for my cheap fragrance fall list. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know in the comments below, and peace.